Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Scott from Happy Chickie, and today I'm going to show you how to make spring chicks using a foam ball and a few other basic supplies. This video is made in part of the Make Art Mondays series presented by the Arts Council. So the first step after I've gathered all my supplies is I'm going to take the toothpick and insert it into the foam ball. And this is just so that it's going to be easier for me to hold on to while I paint it. So I'm going to open up my paint and I'm going to quickly paint my ball and make sure that I'm covering every bit of the surface of the ball. So I've done my first layer of paint on my ball. It does look like it's going to need a second one. So between this layer and the next, I'm just going to let it dry. All right, so I just finished adding a second and third layer of paint and it is completely dry. So I removed my toothpick and I cleaned my paintbrush. So we're going to get ready to assemble our chick. But before we can do that, we have to finish the last couple components that will make up the chick. So taking our pipe cleaner, we're going to use this to make the chick's feet. So there's going to be like a little bit of a halfway point, so find that. And then on each side is where you're going to make the feet. So to do that, you're just going to fold a little bit, about the size of your fingertip. You're going to fold that up on that side, and then you're going to do the same kind of thing on the other side, and then we're going to kind of do a zigzag like so, and then do it a third time, and then you're going to do the same thing on this side of the foot like that. Now it doesn't look like too much quite yet. So now that you have both sides zigzagged, you're going to kind of just separate them a little bit to create your little chicken feet. We are going to make the beak. So to make the beak, we're going to fold our paper in half, like so, and we're going to draw a triangle. You don't want it to be too big, but you don't want it to be too small. And you have lots of paper if you need to do like a couple to get the right size. So I think that this is probably going to be a pretty decent size. I'm going to cut just a little bit inside the triangle like this. And then you have your beak. You see it's like a little diamond when you open it up. You have your beak, which we will eventually glue on, like that. So we're going to set that aside because we're going to wait and get everything done first before we decide to glue it all together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our eyes. So once again, I'm going to fold my paper in half. But instead of doing the triangle on the fold, we're going to make a circle. And I'm going to do it over here in case I need to do a second one. I'm going to make a circle. Not that big, I think would be a good start. And I'm going to keep the paper folded. And I'm just going to cut it out very carefully. I'm going to try to stay on that line. Just like that. Okay. So now, because I had it unfolded in half, I have two circles that are about the same size. Now, if you wanted to, you could make your circles two different sizes. So what these are going to end up being is the eyeballs. So I'm going to give my eyes little pupils. So I'm going to take my pen, and this is a blue pen, but you could use black or any other color that you have. And I'm going to make the pupil. I'm going to make the pupil kind of down like this. So my chick kind of looks like it's looking down. So I'm going to make a little half circle down here. For the pupil, you could put it in the center if you wanted, but I think I like it down here a little bit more. But you have enough paper if you wanted to experiment with placement. You could do different types of eyes and then choose your favorite. So there we go. We have 2 eyes with 2 pupils. I'm going to even this one out just a smidge. All right. Oh, stuck to me. So now I have 2 eyes, some feet, a beak, and of course my 3 feathers. So to attach these, we're going to take our little glue and your paintbrush. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to decide what side I want to have the beak. So that's where my toothpick was. So I think I'm going to make sure that's on the bottom. And there's a little seam there. So I think I'm going to place the beak right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue. I'm just going to put it on here like that. And it will dry clear. So if you get it kind of all over a little bit, that's okay. So I've got my glue on there. I'm going to put my beak on. I'm going to just hold it on there for half a second. Try to get it to dry a little bit. You could also, if you wanted to, glue the bottom of the beak down so it stays a little better. Actually, I think I like that a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do, just so it stays on a bit more. Add a little bit more glue. Like that. Kind of hold it down in place so it dries. Oh, the glue's already drying on me. Make sure your beak still can open. Like that. Alright, so that's on. And it's drying pretty quickly, so I think I can move on to my eyes. So for the eyes, I'm just going to go up a little bit further. Add a little bit more glue. Again, you don't have to worry about it being visible. So if you get it someplace outside of where the eyes go, that's not a big deal. So then I'm going to just add my eyes on, and I'm going to use the back of my paintbrush to kind of push them down a little bit. There's one eye. There's my second eye. The same kind of thing. Alright, so we're starting to have a face. So the next step is pretty easy. Now we're going to add our little feet. So to do this, same kind of deal. Just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom of my chick. Get it everywhere. All right, now that's done. We're going to make sure our little feet are facing out. And then just press down gently. You can move your feet a little bit if they're kind of looking a little wonky. I'm going to push them together a little bit so they look like 2 separate feet. All right. There's your feet. We're just going to let this dry quickly before we move on so we don't get anything stuck. So I'm going to let him kind of like sit on his side for half a second, let it dry. And then once he's all dry, I'll come back and we'll finish our little chick off. Okay, so we're back. I just finished letting everything dry, and our chick is still missing something. So every chicken and bird has wings and feathers. So we are going to take our feathers, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to add some wings. So these feathers are a little bit big for my chick. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them down to size just a little bit. And don't take too much off at first. So you can start down at the tip of the feather and just kind of experiment with the size. I think that's still just a little too big. I think I'm going to see if there's this natural separation right here. And I'm going to trim it there as well. Let's get some fuzzies here. Give that a shot. Okay. I think that's a pretty good size for a wing. I'm going to take one of my other feathers, and these look pretty similar. I'm going to try to get them down to the same size. I'm going to use my first wing as a template and just trim that little piece off. So now I have 2 wings. And you can experiment with your wing placement if you want it to go down or facing up a little bit more. I think I like it going up a little bit. So I'm going to put just a little bit of glue at where the base of that wing is. So it's still kind of free flowing. Take my glue. Just a little dab right there. I can take my feather, just place it gently there, and let that dry. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, kind of seeing about matching up. Looks about right. Oops. Put that feather down. Once again, I'm kind of lining up my glue. Trying to get a similar position with my feather here. So, I'm going to fluff it up a little bit. Not too much so it doesn't fall off. So I'm going to finish letting that dry now that we have our 2 little wings. And then there's one more thing that I think chicken needs, and that's just a little bit of a tail feather. So to add my tail feather, I think this is still just a little bit too long. So I'm going to measure. I'm just going to cut off a little bit, just like before. Let's see how that goes. I think that's a pretty good sized tail feather. And you can place it wherever you'd like. If you want it to be taller, I think I'm going to place mine down, the base down near the feet. Just so the rest of it can stay a little loose. I'm going to put that down. Just let it dry. So now, all you're going to do is you're going to let your little chick, all the glue dry on your little chick. If you have a few little feathers left and you wanted to get creative, you could try to add a little bit to the top, like a little poof up on the top. kind of like that idea. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, oh, look, this would be perfect. I'm going to take this little bit right here and foam. So maybe what I'll do, I'll take that, this is optional. You don't have to do this unless you want to. I'll take my toothpick, maybe make a little hole. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. Stick my little feather floof in there. I'm going to add a little glue just so it stays. Not too much though, because I don't want the feathers to get too sticky and not float around. All right, so we've got glue, and I'm going to stick this right in there. Now, my little chick has a little feather, little floof right on top.